All right. Today's going to be a fun lesson. We're going to talk about mini bikes. I'll tell you what I mean by mini bikes and what it means for learning how to wheelie when you have a mini bike. Mini bike, I'm pretty much just going to call it a 125cc. We're not going to count 250s, 300s, 400s, 500s. Those are pretty close, and they are harder to wheelie, I should say. Once you learn, you can wheelie pretty much anything. But mini bikes being 125cc bikes, Honda Grom, Z125s, pit bikes, dirt bikes. What it takes to wheelie them, and can you wheelie them? Can you learn to wheelie on them? The answer is definitely yes, and honestly, in a lot of cases, it's even better to wheelie on them, to learn to wheelie on them, because they're cheaper to fix if you drop them. They are light, they're less intimidating when you're learning to wheelie, because they're just a smaller bike. Instead of being a full-size bike like an R1 or a CBR or an FZ, they're just smaller, less to worry about. If you do crash, you're going slower, they weigh less. It's just, there's a lot of pros and some cons. But anyway, when you are trying to wheelie and learn to wheelie on a mini bike, a Honda Grom, Z125, like I just said, repeating myself, I'm going to put the names up here. Z125, things like this, that's a Kawasaki. It's going to take a lot of bouncing, yanking up, techniques like that, shifting your body weight from forward to back to kind of compress the suspension, bring it back up with you. It's going to take a lot of gas input when you're dumping the clutch, and odds are you won't be able to power wheelie these things. But one of the biggest things you can do to make it easier to wheelie on your mini bike is just throw a bigger sprocket on it. Go buy a bigger sprocket and put it on the bike. You don't want to go too big because it's already a 125. You can only go so fast, 50, 60 miles per hour. You put a bigger sprocket, your top end is toast. If you put a really big sprocket. But if you just want to go like 3 teeth up, 3 to 5 teeth up will be a world of a difference in learning how to wheelie on your mini bike, because now you have more torque. You could also keep the rear sprocket the same and just make the front sprocket smaller as well. Maybe get rid of 1 or 2 teeth on it. It'll have the same effect. But immediately, if you can throw a bigger sprocket on the rear, specifically because it's just a little easier and less involved, it will help give you that extra torque you need to be able to get the wheel off the ground while you're learning. And you still won't lose too much top speed. You might lose 5 to 7 miles per hour. Maybe, I don't even think you'd lose that, because the thing is, the Honda Grom or the Z125's top speed, it takes torque to get there. So if you just go 3 teeth up specifically, just 3, now you have more torque to get to that top speed anyway. So truthfully, it doesn't really affect too much of your top speed. But what will affect it is if you go like 10 teeth up or something like that right off the rip, especially on a small bike like that. I wouldn't recommend. Now, if you're using it for stunting in a lot, like circle wheelies, slow wheelies, and that's all you want it for, have at it. Maybe you can get a bigger one, honestly, like a 50 tooth sprocket, 45 tooth, whatever you want for your Grom, it's up to you. But these are things to think about when getting a mini motorcycle and what it takes to wheelie it. I do have a Honda Grom myself. It is not stunted at all, but I'm going to gear up, go on my private road I have permission to use, bring the Honda Grom out and kind of point out the things you can do to make it easier to wheelie and learn on your smaller bike, because they are fun to learn on and they're easier to learn on in their own ways. Pros and cons, right? I do have an entire wheelie course in the description that'll teach you how to wheelie your motorcycle at 12 o'clock in about 8 modules, 16 lessons. If you want to check that out, it's a great setup, great course. So it's in the description, check that out. Also, cardosystems.com, 10% off if you use promo code School of Wheelie. Go get yourself a Bluetooth, get yourself some music playing in your helmet, things like that. It might help pump you up while you're learning to wheelie, but stay safe. So let's go gear up. We're gonna roll the Honda Grom out, and I'm gonna kind of go over a few more of these things we just discussed on the whiteboard, pointed out on the Grom, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about, and it'll be a little more clear, and maybe we'll do some wheelies as well.
All right, you guys, we are outside on the Honda Grom since we are discussing 125cc mini bikes. That's what this thing is pretty much. I would say the Honda Grom is one of the most popular, best bikes you can pick up for learning how to wheelie. It is underpowered, it is slow, and it is small, but it's a great bike to learn to wheelie on for those reasons, honestly. A lot of the parts are cheap and easy to fix, but I'm going to really quick do a rundown of what we were just discussing on things that you can also throw on mini bikes to maybe help your life be a little bit easier when it comes to learning how to wheelie. So for one of the things to start with, this doesn't necessarily make wheelies way easier or anything, but I have new bars on this bike. These are the KLX DRZ 110s. They are wider and they are taller, so that just helps leverage wheelies, as we've discussed in other videos. One of the biggest thing you guys can do right off the rip for these little bikes, like I had discussed, is put a bigger sprocket on the rear or a smaller one in the front, but the rear normally is a little bit easier to tackle. Go 3 teeth up, maybe 5, kind of like we discussed. That'll make a huge difference on the bike. A lot of people for these mini bikes also like to get steel rear sets. Protects the bike. You can also get crash cages and stuff for the bike, just like I've discussed in other videos. It all pretty much applies to the smaller bikes as well. One of the biggest differences when you get a 12 bar for these things, it's pretty much a 12 bar and a sub cage in one to protect the rear of the bike because they're so small. But that is the next thing. A 12 bar helps a lot with learning to wheelie. You can stand on the pegs, you can stand on the 12 bar, but if you're going to stand up there, unless you're doing knee knockers and stuff on it and using the rear foot brake, you're going to need a rear hand brake setup up here, a lever, right? You have your rear foot brake and your rear hand brake up here on the left. So those are kind of the main things you need with these small bikes. Number one being the sprocket. Bigger sprocket's going to help the wheel come up a lot, right? So that's going to be the biggest thing I would hone in on with these, really, is sprocket, bars, and probably like a 12 bar. Idle adjuster helps as well, but those are going to be your biggest ones because I don't know, one of the most effective ways to learn how to wheelie on these things, on the mini bikes, in my opinion, is you sit here in first gear, rear foot brake, rev it up, get the wheel off the ground and just wheelie like this. This is just super slow throttle and brake control. And you really don't need any stunt parts for this, but a bigger sprocket is going to help you out a ton. And right now I'm just dragging my foot on the ground, if you can see that. It just kind of helps give you a little bit more sense of security with your foot down like that. Show you right here at the end of the road again. Boom, and we're up. It's a good way to learn. That's why these bikes are so effective in teaching people how to wheelie. Less intimidating, they're nice and small, you can handle them easily, and again, wider bars will do wonders on these. So I really want you to focus though on the bigger sprocket. Get yourself a bigger sprocket for these. It'll help you out a ton, give you that torque you need to help get the wheel up. Another thing you can do is really lean forward, push the suspension down, and then on the way up, let it come up like that, right? That's another way to get the wheel off the ground. So again, I'll give you an example of kind of compressing the forks in the front, leaning forward and then coming back, and we're up. Just like that. And on that note, with compressing your suspension and pulling up, a lot of techniques you can use with these things is literally kind of standing up and bouncing them down and pulling up, right? You compress and pull up, all while dumping the clutch if you're doing a clutch up, which I highly recommend. There we go, balance point, nice and slow. So the bars help a lot with this. I can steer it really good using the foot brake, but again, keep everything in mind that I just said. Sprocket, handlebars, that'll make a big difference and go a long way. And again, if you throw a 12 bar on it, on the little 125s like this, you have wide bars and a 12 bar in the back, you're pretty much for the most part protected if you drop a wheelie. So again, get yourself that sprocket, or don't. You're an adult, so do what you want. But sprocket and bars, sprocket and bars, sprocket and bars, and then obviously get good at your rear brake, get good at your throttle control, and go have fun. But those are the most important things for these bikes when you learn to wheelie. The 125s definitely take a little bit of technique. You're going to get closer to red line and RPMs on these things while you're learning, but that's all right. It comes with it, right? So keep all that in mind. I'll get into it a lot more in another wheelie video for these little 125cc's, but that's pretty much it for this. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.